Another dog walk and another murder story to tell you. This one is the murder house in Essex, England. And when I found out about this story, it literally chilled me to the bone. The fact that a woman could do this to family members is inconceivable as far as I'm concerned. But that's why they call it the murder house. And this was quite a recent murder. This happened in 2019. And the culprit was a young woman of 36 years old. She was a struggling artist and she had accumulated a hell of a lot of debt. So not earning a wage, stressing out that she was in a lot of debt, she decided to move back home with her parents. She was one of 5 siblings and the only one to be returning back to the house. Her mum and her dad were quite elderly now. They were like in their 70s, and they both had health problems. So when she got home, she said, look, I'll help you with supporting you, but if you can just help me a little bit financially while I'm struggling, but I promise you my work is going to be seen and I am going to make a fortune. You just need to give me a little while for this to all turn itself around. So being the loving parents that they were, they agreed and said, absolutely, move back home, we'll support you financially. But obviously they are elderly now and they needed a little bit of support for themselves. So she moved back home and she continued to help. But what she wasn't telling her parents is that she was gambling massively, drinking loads, and just accumulating a huge amount of debt. The art was going nowhere and she was just becoming more and more lazy and couldn't really be bothered. As time went on, her parents needed more support. Their health issues were getting worse and they needed more help. But this just made the daughter even more angry. She was getting frustrated. The parents were becoming like the children that she never had. And she had a responsibility to take care and look after them. And she was beginning to absolutely resent it. She loved the fact that she was stealing money from them and she had a roof over her head, didn't have to work, didn't have to pay for a thing. But she really didn't want the responsibility of looking after her parents anymore. So her mind started to spin, to think of ideas of how she could get rid of her parents. And she thought the unthinkable. She was going to murder them. Because her parents had already had issues with their health, they were on a lot of medication. And she was responsible for giving them their medication. But this particular day, she decided to give them a little bit too much. And then the next day, a little bit too much. And she started to poison her parents with their prescription drugs, eventually killing her father. But she didn't quite manage to kill off her mother quite so quickly. She was getting extremely impatient now, and she decided that enough was enough. She went to her father's shed and she grabbed a hammer from inside. She walked back into the house and she smashed her mother's brains out on the kitchen table. She died instantly. So with both of them gone, she could live the life she wanted to live now. She was free from having to look after them, tidy up after them, give them their medication. She was finally free. She knew that she could spend their money. She was writing out checks. She was paying for stuff on tick. She was putting it all through the parents' bank accounts. She was loving life. She was loving life. She cleaned up the mess in the kitchen, the splattered brains all over the kitchen surface. She cleaned those down, and she just left the bodies where they were. Her mother in the kitchen, her father in the study. And for a while, they just laid there. But after some time, she wanted to form a relationship with them again. So she would dress her mother, she would put makeup on the part of her face that wasn't smashed in, and she would prop her up in the kitchen, and she would talk to her whilst she was making her favourite Victoria sponge. She would ask her mother, like, "It never tastes as good as when you used to do it, Mum. What was the special ingredients again?" And she knew that her father loved to play chess, so she would prompt her father's body up in the nice familiar armchair that he was so comfortable in his study. And she used to bring the little round table to him, and they would play chess together. But she always won. Eventually, she got bored and they started to stink, and she knew that she needed to discard the bodies. But where to put them? She didn't think too far ahead, as she decided to zip her mum up in a sleeping bag and put her in the back of the wardrobe. She found some breeze blocks outside, and she made a makeshift tomb in the study and wrapped him in sleeping bags and put him in this shallow grave in the study. And that is where they stayed for 4 years. The stench by now was horrific. She just continued to spend their money. And it wasn't until a GP ran the alarm bells and thought, we haven't heard from these people in a very long time. They were poorly, they were unwell. Why have they not come back from appointments? So he contacted the police, and then the police came round and they questioned her, and she admitted to everything. She showed them where the bodies were, and they'd been stuck in the house for 4 years, rotting. But it doesn't end there. Legend has it that although this property is now empty, it's far from silent. It's been said that the souls of her tortured parents still roam these 4 walls. And sometimes when you drive past or walk past this property, you'll sometimes see the 2 elderly people wandering in the upstairs window, looking out, looking scared, looking frightened, still with the fear coursing through their soul of what their daughter did to them. The property is empty, but the furniture and everything inside is still the same. And in the study where the daughter propped up his body on his armchair, sometimes you'll see him sitting in the armchair with the chessboard by his side. People have tried to move in there, but don't last very long. The cries and the screams can be heard late at night, waking the residents up, being too scared to even get out of their beds. The house is cold, the house is heavy, and the house stinks of rotting flesh. The air is so thick inside those walls that it's hard to even get the door to open. So this house stays empty, but it has so much history and so many stories to be told. So think again, if your sweet, innocent child wants to move in with you, because who knows what they're capable of.